Oh my God, are you kidding me? I thought cheerleading would just be a couple of pom-poms and that's it.
Not anymore.
At least though, their competition once a year, the championships, is at Walt Disney World.
I know. So that makes it a little bit better.
Yeah. I kept telling Paige, like, your soccer team needs to play at Wide World of Sports. They have all kinds of soccer teams. They never played there.
Never played there?
We didn't even like Kansas. I'm like, Kansas. I hate Kansas.
It's very flat there.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So everything looks good at this end. Hey, Margie. Let's see here. All right. And it's Kate, right? Just want to make sure I get it right. Okay. It's better to ask now 30 minutes into the show.
Yep. It's Kate.
After 13 years. Okay. Let's see. I pull up the email. All the awesome pictures. Man, you guys ate so well. Oh, it's making me hungry. And I just ate.
We did. It was, I can't say it was super hot, so I don't think I ate as much as I wanted to.
No, tell me about. I know, like Scott had a Liberty Tree Tavern, ADR one, like 2 nights before we left last week, and I'm like, dude, I can't. I was like, I can't do Thanksgiving dinner. It's like 100 degrees. It's like
very hot.
I mean, unless you can literally get me like a wheelchair and wheel me straight to my hotel at like 68 when I get back. It was so.
Yes.
Okay. I think Tammy. No, she's got Tigger. See, she threw me off in her little picture there. I was thinking that was Clemson Tiger. Now I will say, because we're both Tigers, right? We have a better mascot than Clemson. Clemson's got a football team. The mascot's like, looks like he came out of Walmart or something. Like, truly.
Yeah, he's a little right. He does. At least they used to. I haven't been to a game in a while, but he used to do push-ups for every point they scored.
Our Tiger does that, yeah.
And his push-ups were a little shallow.
Well,
in that costume.
The thing is, if you're a good team, though, you wear your mascot out, right? Like, when you only like we're in the SEC, the SEC East, so it's not as bad. Like, unless we're playing like Georgia or something. But when we score Vandy, it wears out. Our guy. But
right, it wears out. I went my master's, my graduate school is Georgia. So, but don't hold that against me. Like, I have no, I got no affiliation.
I'll be at Walt Disney World this year when we play Georgia, so I'll be wearing that because I mean, like LSU is the team you see the most at Walt Disney World, right? You purple and gold everywhere, and then you see the Gators, but you see a lot of Georgia. So I think I'm going to run the half marathon over Wine and Dine in Mizzou jersey.
There you go. I know they Georgia, I think, is the most represented team I see here in Charleston, outside of Clemson and USC. So.
All right, let's get cracking here. So we got 1937, and here we go. Welcome to episode 1937 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a tremendous weekend, whether it was getting in a long run, if you're one of our awesome Be Our Guest Podcast lizards, because hey, we Run Disney's back, and we're kind of all excited because some of us signed up for Wine and Dine. We're very nervous because a lot of us are signing up for Marathon Weekend here in just a few days. But you know what? Outside of that, you got to get your miles in. So get out there, rain, heat, whatever it takes. Or if you're weak like me, just get on the treadmill, get those miles in, walking or running, because it's going to be here. That next race to get in those corrals, that 3:00 wake up call is going to be here before you know it. But hopefully you had a fun weekend. Just got to maybe go out to a nice dinner, maybe go to the park with the family, whatever. We're just glad you're back, and we're getting you out the door and down the road here with a fun trip report. And that road's taking us to South Carolina today to speak with listener Kate. Kate, how's it going?
Pretty good. How are you tonight, Mike?
I'm doing great. Love doing the podcast. Love trip reports because I get to hear about how people's trips went, and everybody's heard about mine now ad nauseum. So let's get into something a little bit different. But we did stay at the same resort because we did 3 resorts, but we did at Caribbean Beach, and that's what we're going to talk about. You guys stayed there. But before we do that, let's get some background on you. Why are you such a big Disney fan? What has you going down to Disney, other than that you live kind of in that southeast corridor, like the Georgia, South Carolina, Florida corridor? So what's your background with Disney?
Yeah, so I think like a lot of people, I went on like one big trip as a kid with my parents, and then we live about 6.5 hours, depending, my hometown's maybe 7 hours from Orlando. And I after we went on that one big trip, I went to like one day in Disney, like several times. Like my dad used to sail and we would go to a regatta and he would take my brother and I on our way back to Disney World. And then my husband and I went when we were dating and actually on our way back from our honeymoon because we had free tickets. So we just stopped in Orlando for a night and did 3 parks in one day. I remember being very tired. And in 2017, when my son was 3, we booked pretty much a last minute trip for spring break because his school had a spring break, maybe about 4 or 6 weeks ahead of time. And we just did Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. And, spring break is crazy. Like there's tons of people there. And I remember being kind of like smashed in a crowd between Adventureland and Frontierland and thinking to myself, like, this is so nice to be here with just my family, even though there's like 10,000 people around. I don't know, just a lot of people. And I was kind of hooked from there. And like I knew about fast passes, but like I didn't know anything about ADRs or making advanced dining, planning that kind of stuff. And I thought I can do this better. And I was hooked. So we went again for both my son and my husband's birthday in November 2019. And then this trip. And I think it's a lot of fun to plan, but also just really fun to be there as a family of 3 and just hanging out with, thousands of our closest friends.
I think that's it though. I mean, you kind of mentioned it and it's the same for me is that no matter how busy it is and how chaotic, and I've gone because I used to teach and my wife's still a teacher. We used to go down that week between Christmas and New Year's. And I mean, you have to be a certain kind of crazy to do that, which I have to say, most people listening to our podcast are that certain kind of crazy. Yeah. We can thrive. We're just happy to be there. It doesn't matter. The whole world's there on Main Street with us. But it is one of those things. There's an energy, and it's that I joked about it earlier this week when I made a little teaser video for the listener question podcast, I think, was that, you're outside the bubble when you get back home and you got to jump on the riding lawnmower to cut the lawn. And it's been, it looks like a swamp, because it's been raining, but it's like a jungle because the grass is so high. I think that's it. Like you get to get down there, and despite the crowds, you had some extreme heat when you guys were down there. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you get that time to not have to go to work and not have to check homework and all that stuff with just your family. And even under, not ideal circumstances with crowds, weather, stuff like that, it's an amazing time because all you have to do is play. That's what I always tell my family. Like we get time to just play. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's just, having, I think it's fun probably at any time. I'd love to do an adults only trip, but like having something that everything is geared towards, families is just, it's a relaxing vacation despite all the things that you're doing.
Right. But every time I get home, though, my wife said this. She said this already about this past trip. We got back last week. That she does need a vacation from her vacation because we do go hard. We have a good time, and we do take breaks though. But we just get home, and you're just like, wow, I'm.
It is. I think we're kind of the go hard people too. So
I know. I was talking to Scott about this, and we all we got to those last couple of days of my trip, and he stayed 5 days after. We went 5 days before, so we had 5 together. And the thing was, I was coming to my last day. I'm like, God, I hate to leave. Everybody's like, second to the last day, you're like, oh God, I gotta leave tomorrow. You got to check in for your flight. It's coming to an end. You get the Magical Express thing on your door if you're flying, but the thing is, I told him this. I said, there is one thing I do like when I get home that I just get to sit for, I know I got to go back to work and everything, but man, it feels good just to sit.
Absolutely.
Where's going? Anyway. All right. So let's hop into this trip. You guys went back in May. How did the idea come around to go this time? And what was the planning like? How did this trip come together?
I probably planned this or thought about doing this trip before COVID-19 was even a thing. My son gets out of school a week before everybody else in the school that he was going to, a week before everybody else in the state. And there's no camps. We always have to take that week off. And I was like, you know what? We're going to get this right. And we're going to go on vacation during that week. So we went the week kind of leading into Memorial Day down to Florida. He graduated from kindergarten. And so we were down there celebrating that a little bit and just having fun as a family, kind of kicking off the summer right.
That's a way to do it too. If you're in the Southeast, you want to go early because schools in the Northeast are going in the Great Lakes. They go till like the middle of June. But again, if you're up at here's the opposite of that. Like if you're in the Northeast or in the Great Lakes, take your vacation at the end of August because guess what? They're going to start second quarter in the Southeast.
Right.
Crazy.
That is true. That is true.
Every year it got earlier and earlier. Okay, let me ask you about this though, because your child's at that perfect age for that Walt Disney World vacation. So how did you kind of build anticipation? I'm sure was there some Disney Channel? Were you watching the movies? Like what'd you talk? Because the free trip for me is just almost as fun as the trip itself.
Absolutely. So this is the weirdest thing. He refuses to watch all movies whatsoever.
No,
so we have
no kidding. I'd say she has the attention span, but she doesn't watch movies. And
he does not like them, but we listen to a lot. We have probably played the music pretty regularly. We watched YouTube videos of the songs from the movies. And we really talked about it. He is 6 and he is a big 6-year-old. So he is like able to ride all the rides at Disney World. And so he was a little bit of like, maybe a little overconfident about the roller coasters. He was like, I'm going to do them all. It's going to be great. We rode Slinky Dog the first night and he was like, I'm good.
He's a big kid. He's already knocking on the door like that. Yeah, Clemson's got a nice football program. So he kind of had big dreams going in, but then the reality.
Big dreams going in.
Yeah. So Slinky Dog
it came back. We sort of came back around. Not all the ones he was like, I'm gonna do Rock and Roller Coaster and no.
Big dreams. I like
big dreams.
Hey,
he's confident about it.
I didn't ride an upside down roller coaster until I was in 7th grade, so he's way ahead of me. So, and
I probably didn't go until I was in my 20s. So
I wouldn't even get on an airplane for decades. So
right.
More power to him. All right, so you guys go down to May. You got that, jumping out before everybody else gets out of school. You pick Caribbean Beach. So tell us about the planning of that. What made you land on that hotel? What was it about it?
I cannot give up the Skyliner. Like we probably stayed the first time we ever went, we stayed in a pirate room at Caribbean Beach and saw the Skyliner being built. And we were like, this looks awesome. And then we stayed at Pop Century the second time. And then this time we were going to be driving. So I felt like maybe a moderate, you can park close to your room typically. That would be a good thing. And then I can't get off the Skyliner. I love that. I love that ride to get to the parks. Right. I think a lot of the other resorts look great and I look forward to trying them, but it's hard to give up the Skyliner. So that really drove it.
It's exactly right. I mean, you're nailing it because I was just in that situation where, and I've had this discussion with so many listeners. We have this Coronado Caribbean Beach kind of quandary, right? If I stay in the tower because you can actually probably get a tower room at Coronado cheaper than you can a lot of rooms at Caribbean Beach for similar times. And there's no doubt that the rooms in the tower at Coronado are better. I mean, they're brand new.
Absolutely.
They're super luxurious. the tower feels very deluxe. I mean, it feels like, wow, this is a fancy hotel. Where Caribbean Beach is like your it's your moderate, right? It's like Riverside from Porter. It's all that. But man, it's like, do I go for the better room or do I give up the Skyliner? And I'm just like, oh, I love the Skyliner so much because literally, I mean, I said this on my trip report, but just one example of that was we spent that last day when we had to be on Magical Express at like 3:30. We could stay at the studios till after 2 and just walk out of the park, boom, on the Skyliner, and we were back in 8 minutes to Caribbean Beach. Walk up to the front, get on the bus. I mean, the thing is, I was there when the Skyliner opened. I could not believe how fast you can get places on the Skyliner if you're at Pop, Art, Caribbean Beach, or the Riviera, because the time that you can probably be to your destination, I bet you're still sitting at a bus stop waiting for that first bus to your destination to arrive. That's not even travel time. So it's pretty, and it's the ride to get to the rides for me. I think it's a lot of fun.
Right. I do. I want to take it everywhere.
Exactly. I mean, always ask me, do you think they're gonna? And I hope that they'll have the Skyliner go to like Disney Springs or Coronado or Animal Kingdom. It's just It makes sense to me, but I'm not writing the check. But I mean, I feel like I get money. I should have my own, bucket somewhere, at some point. I keep them in business. Anyway, so all right. So you go down and tell us about the drive. Getting there, is that a difficult drive with a younger kid, or was it pretty easy? How's that?
It's pretty easy. We set out early from here and spent a fair amount of time on the phone with Disney IT cleaning up my husband's friends and family list because he's taken youth groups down there, and so it was a little bit of a mess. Yes. But no, it's an easy drive. It's, I think we did it in like 1 or 2 stops, 8 on the road. Everything went fine getting down there. So, and we left pretty early and got there like early afternoon and hopped right over to Hollywood Studios, just jumped right into the trip of getting over there and getting started with riding rides.
So the important question is, did you stop at a Zaxby's on the way down? Because we don't have those in St. Louis.
I did not stop at a Zaxby's. I think maybe we packed lunches. Our like go-to road trip is Chipotle.
Chipotle is not bad. This is probably the worst advice you'll ever hear on a podcast, but I always get Chipotle at the gate before I get on my plane to come home, which is probably the worst recipe that's a recipe for disaster every time. It's right there at the gate. Anyway, and you know what? Bojangles would have been an appropriate answer there too. Because I just don't have it. And they're so awesome in the Southeast. Okay. So you guys go straight to the studios. So how do you kind of kick off things? I mean, that's a great place to go because we wouldn't have said this 5 years ago, but man, so much to do at the studios. How'd that day go?
Yeah, so much to do. So my son had been talking, he's never seen a Star Wars movie. But he
Star Wars movies.
I know he does.
I'll give him some slack. We watch A New Hope or something. Come on, Force Awakens.
But he was like, we're going straight to Star Wars Land. So we went straight to Star Wars Land and got in line for Millennium Falcon. That was our first ride. He wanted to be a gunner, not a pilot, which was probably a good choice. Probably kept us up in the air a little bit further. And just started from there, tried, all the Toy Story rides, which he loves. This was the Slinky Dog Dash where he was like, that was fun, but I don't have to do that again. But he got over that as the trip went on. So we actually...
It kind of cracks me up though with Slinky Dog because it's so colorful and you got that little ending part where you're kind of up and down, you get your belly, but you kind of laugh. But I get it. I mean, it does have kind of a big hill and it shoots you up there. Like,
spoiler alert, we rode it at least 2 more times during the trip. So he got over it. Yeah. And actually one of my favorite memories is from the next day when we were at the Magic Kingdom. We had left kind of mid-afternoon and returned. We had a dinner reservation at Kona Cafe, which was delicious. But during the meal, he was like, I think I want to go back and try Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So we hopped on. He had like kind of chickened out earlier in the day. And we're like, sure, you want to do it? We'll get ice cream and go to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So we took the resort launch from Polynesian over to the Magic Kingdom and went straight to Seven Dwarfs, and he loved it. We also rode that a couple more times. So he got over it, but that was one of my favorite things that we hadn't expected to go back into the parks that night. And we were like, we'll just take the resort launch, take a little private boat ride. We were the only people on it. And then
I know those launches are so awesome. I mean, if I come home and I haven't ridden one, cause I didn't stay at one of those hotels, but I always find a reason to, jump on one to just hop into Grand Floridian Cafe or something.
Yeah.
And they're so, I mean, again, it's like the Skyliner to me. It's like a ride. When I was a kid, the monorail was my favorite ride. So
I love the monorail. That's the thing I remember from my Disney trip as an 8-year-old, and it sparked my love for public transportation. Only trains, not buses.
I was gonna say we don't have a whole lot of that here. Transportation is my Jeep. Whoever rides
here too.
I get it. Yeah, because the monorail stood out for me on that one trip I took in 5th grade. It was just like I was a little nervous because I thought about this thing's balancing on one. Mono means I knew that for some reason when I was that age. Like mono means one. Like how are we balancing on this big beam? And I was scared of heights even back then. So anyway, all right. So now here I got to ask you about this though. How are the crowds overall during that week? Because when you said that your son all of a sudden gets the guts and wants to ride Mine Train, like late in the day, I'm thinking, oh man, that's great that you want to ride it, but now the line's going to be so long. So was it a terrible thing? How was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the crowds, if I followed a couple crowd calendars, and I actually think they were less than what was predicted. So I think I was sometimes prepared for them to be longer. I think that we did the mine train maybe 3 times and waited about 30, 40 minutes each time. So there were waiting in line with a pretty active 6-year-old. It's not a lot of fun. And so we usually didn't do much that lasted longer than 30 or 40 minutes unless he really wanted to go on the ride. So they were not as crowded as I thought they would be. So it was.
Were you also seeing where the wait times, they were overestimating the wait times? We saw this consistently when we were there, last week, a couple weeks ago, is that it would say an 80-minute wait and we may wait 40. I mean, it was almost like you waited, at the end of the trip, we're like, okay, just have the time. And that's probably what we're going to wait.
Yeah. I think my husband rode some of the bigger, like he rode Space Mountain and, some of the things, Tower of Terror and Rocking Roller Coaster. And I think that was consistently like he waited way less time than we thought he was going to be. So I felt that there were some times that it was about on for that. And then like Frozen was the one I remember that said like a 25-minute wait and it was 45. So yeah.
I never did get on Frozen. The girls did one day when I wasn't with them. I think I was golfing or something, but yeah. Every time we were going through Epcot, man, the line for Frozen would go back to China. I mean, that's where people were being in line for this ride. And I'm thinking, it's a fun ride. I mean, I get Melton was better, but in my opinion, it was. I mean, but I do like Frozen. The girls love that movie. But yeah, I don't know if I'm waiting all the way to China in July when it's that hot to get on that ride.
And there was a heat wave when we were there. They were actually having hotter weather than typical in May. And I live in South Carolina. Like heat and humidity is like, that's what I live in all the time. But I was like, it was really hot. So it sort of changed some of our plans. Whereas before I hadn't thought we would take breaks in the middle of the day. The nights were so much better at the parks that we would take breaks and swim. The pool at Caribbean Beach, my son really loved, like the splash pad, but also the pool. And so we spent more time there than I had anticipated, but it was a lot of fun. Of course, it's the thing he remembers.
That's it. I mean, at that age, it doesn't matter. Like you could have the, Rise the Resistance, coolest attraction on the planet. Nope, the pool's always going to win out. I mean, it's just how things are. I mean, the sky's blue and the pool wins. I mean, it's just that's it. So, and I'll say what, I have a regret. I didn't get in the pool at Caribbean Beach. We stayed there 4 nights. Never got in. The girls did, but I was, doing other things. We were kind of, it was our last 4 nights and I was trying to rush to get everything in and stuff like that. But, God, that pool, it was always busy and there were always, just everybody was having a good time there. Yeah. It looks so cool because it looks like you're kind of swimming in Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing. It's really sweet. Okay. Let me ask you about Caribbean Beach real quick before we hop out of that. You mentioned in the email that the resort was great. You thought the rooms could use a little zhuzh, a little updating, and storage was kind of a challenge. And I think we saw the same thing, right? I was there with my wife and 2 13-year-old girls. And so we were there for 10 days. We had all kinds of stuff. We had stuff everywhere, and so coming from Yacht Club where you could slide the suitcases under the bed, in Pop Century in the same way, like they're very efficient now. Caribbean Beach needs a little bit of that because we could have used stuff under the bed.
We could have used some shelves and drawers.
Yeah, exactly.
And we ended up with a 5th sleeper, which we didn't need, but my son loved, by the way. But cut down a little bit on storage space. And I have pretty terrible allergies, and so I was like, hardwood floors would have been nice, to.
I'm a carpet guy, but it's because I just try not to think about what's in that carpet.
Right.
It's warm on my feet in the middle of the night.
That's right.
I get why they're moving to the fake hardwood. It looks nicer, and I'm sure it's very more hygienic than that carpet from 1997 or something.
No, it's still a great. I mean, it's a standard hotel room, but I was like, it could use some of all those compartments that Pop Century has to stuff things in.
It's funny because everybody complained about the pop rooms when they first saw them, but we're really, and they're not as, colorful and bright. And I wish they were, more like the old decor. I like bright. That's why I stay at Pop Century. That it's crazy. Like it's colors and decorations. But I mean, once you stay there, like there's an outlet in the right place here for your phone. There's like you said, little cubbies and stuff to put all your junk. And I appreciate that now. And I'm spoiled. Like because we had been at Pop and Yacht and we had all that stuff, and then we got to Caribbean Beach. Like Pam, you're going to put your suitcase here in the windowsill above that. But I do love the old fashioned air conditioners, man. It was so cold in our room. It was wonderful. Every day I walk out, my glasses would just fogged up because they were so cold. It was great. I love that. One of the bonuses for the beach. Okay, so let's talk a couple more stories about theme parks, and then we'll hop into some of your dining because I don't want to miss that because you have some really nice dining experiences. But what stands out as far as other theme park experiences for your family?
Yeah, I mean, we did the Droid Depot, and with my son built a droid, and that is one of my favorite memories. They did like it's Disney Magic. They did like the little activation. I don't know if you've been in there, but they're activating the droid.
I've watched it. I've never made one or a lightsaber, which someday when I win the lottery, I'm going to do.
You will too. But they're activating the droid, and he is, I have it on video, but he's jumping up and down, and he goes, I have a droid, I have a droid. He was just so excited, and we carry it out, and he like kind of takes off. He doesn't run far, but kind of under where like Chewbacca sometimes stands. There's an R2D2. He built an R2D2. There's like an R2D2 droid over there, and he was showing his droid to that droid. He's like, I want him to meet his baby cousin.
I love that.
I was like, okay. So that was a lot of fun, and I think we love the Magic Kingdom. I think just those are my favorite rides, to see all the theming and the rides, and I think he really enjoyed that a lot. I beat him a lot on Toy Story Mania,
so that's why I have kids to beat him.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't have beat anybody else. It was really, it was just a lot of fun to run around and see what rides, so I'm team Fast Pass, Mike. Don't get me wrong. I'm team Fast Pass, but it is sort of nice to sort of, just look at the list and see what you want to go to next and head off to that. And, so that was just a lot of fun to have maybe a little bit more freedom in touring, but I will take the Fast Passes back. I'm with you. I like knowing what 3 things I'm going to be able to do during the day. I did Flights of Passage. My husband and I did that for the first time with our son. He was old enough. He did not like it. He looked over at me. He goes, this is a little scary. And then we did do Rise of the Resistance, which I loved. It's just such an experience to go through. And my son, his little heart was beating really fast. I could feel it as we were getting on, and we got to the end, and he was like, I don't know about that, but that's actually the one ride he keeps talking about. He's like, I can't wait to go back and do that. So he's sort of warmed up to it as time has gone on. And so if you ask him what he wants to do, if he goes back to Disney World, he says, ride Rise of the Resistance.
Of course, because that's the one that makes you work the hardest to get on.
Right. Yeah. I had my husband watching YouTube videos. I was like, you need to read these YouTube videos. Like, we got to practice the night before. We talked to the IT guy on the way down, and he was like, this is what you do. And I was like in our hotel room, like in the bathroom, because that's where the Wi-Fi was the best. And he was outside on his LTE.
Oh my God.
And I got to the page and it says, oops, something went wrong. And then he comes bursting back in the door. And he's like, I got it.
Yeah, it's seriously, it's the happiest dance ever at like 7:00 and 10 seconds, or it's I didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
2 mornings. It was brutal.
Yeah. And that Hollywood Studios day, that was our second Hollywood Studios day. And we had like group 28. So we went for Rise of the Resistance at about 10:30. And it was like one of those like magical days in Disney World where like everything goes on time. Like we did Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad in the morning and some rides in Toy Story Land, and then went to that, and then the Lightning McQueen show, and got there just in time to see Frozen first time in forever, and then get to our lunch ADR. It was just one of those like magical days where everything kind of clicks together. It was just a lot of, I just remember looking back on that day and saying they were all good days, but that was a really good day for sure.
I hear you. And you know what? I've come to this conclusion with the Rise boarding groups that now before this trip, I'd never had one before 66. That was my lowest number I'd ever gotten. And I've done it 3 or 4 times, but this time we got 50 on it was our last day. We had 3 studios days. This was the day we're going home. So the thing was, if we didn't get it at 7, it didn't matter 1 o'clock because we had to be on Magical Express at 3. We wouldn't have gotten in anyway. So it was kind of, do or die for us. And I really wasn't that stressed about it, but my wife hadn't been on it. And, it's one of those things before the trip and during, Rise is amazing. Like, you gotta see. And then, I didn't get it the first time. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, Rise. And then, I didn't get the second day. I'm like, it's really overrated.
Don't worry about it.
But the thing is, with that, I've learned that like you said, like group 28, I'd say like between like 25 and 50, that's a sweet spot to get a Rise boarding group. Not that beggars can be choosers because you'll take what you get and you have no control. But if you get like a 1 or a 10, 1 through 10, you're immediately going back to Rise and doing that. Where if you get a later boarding group, like you said, but not too late, you can go do Mickey and Minnie's or Slinky Dog, or, you can get 2 or 3 attractions in. Like we had 50, we grabbed lunch. And then like right after lunch, we had pizza Rizzo, which everybody gave me a hard time about that, but the pizza was actually fine and the air conditioning was spot on. And then as soon as our boarding group came up, we threw away our food, went back, rode the ride, and it was perfect. So, if you can get it, I like that like 25 to 50-ish range, and you can get a lot done and then do Rise and then, bounce out of the park. If you want to do something else, take a nap or, go swim or go to another park.
Yeah, absolutely.
Works well. So it'd be better if like your kid, his favorite ride was like the Tomorrowland Speedway or something, it's like,
I know. He was into the People Mover. We rode that a couple times.
That's a good one.
He was
Yeah, Rise, nothing like that because it's a challenge. Hopefully it'll become better every day. So you said that you kind of switched your philosophy on going back midday. Did that tend to work? Did you guys drive or did you take Disney transportation? Because you did have your own car.
So we took the Skyliner obviously to Hollywood Studios and Epcot, but we actually drove to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. We were still in the, hadn't been around a lot of crowds. And so the thought of getting on a bus was just kind of a lot. I kind of like driving. Getting to the Magic Kingdom is kind of a pain, but I like the modes of transportation. I like taking the ferry. I like taking the monorail. And it was just sort of nice to get in your own car at the end of the night and it was quiet and you're not like jam packed into a bus.
You're guaranteed a seat,
you're guaranteed a seat.
Even if I get a seat, I'm like, oh man, because then then it starts playing in your head. Like if somebody gets on that's older than me, or there's a, a lady that needs my seat. I'm like, I have a seat, but I probably won't have this seat in 5 minutes. So you're right. You got your seat. Yeah, exactly. Your own tunes, some air conditioning, you're set.
And we're still toting around a stroller, because seats, which is kind of a pain. And then, so I kind of liked driving. And I think, I don't know that it worked in every resort, but I think being at Caribbean Beach where, we were parked right outside of our room. And so it was, easy to hop in the car and get over to the parks. And I'm usually like, when I'm on vacation, just in any vacation, I'm like, I want to park the car and not get back in it. But I might be a little bit of a convert. I might be okay with driving. And it worked out for us.
Yeah. See, because we always vacation, it's crazy that we do this now, but we almost always vacation with Scott's family, and he is a car person. Like he rents the car. He even rented a car this past trip. And, car rentals were apparently, I didn't even look, I never rent a car, but like, apparently they're very expensive and really hard to come by, but he got a car. And it's, here's the better thing. If you don't rent a car, just have a buddy that has a car, then, hey, pick me up. We're going to play. That's the best way.
That's the best one.
That's your tip. So, but I'm one of the people that I'm like you kind of said, like, I like to just get there and, the buses, they were packed. I mean, they were packed just like pre-COVID, but I mean, once you ride it once and you have on your mask, you just kind of hope and pray. And because like we watched fireworks weren't around when you guys were there. But, once we saw the fireworks, man, we were shoulder to shoulder. It didn't matter. Like you're going to get it. It was just, faith and hope that the vaccine, it's like, I'm in this situation. I mean, I can either make myself miserable and worry the entire trip, or I can just, just have faith that it's going to be okay. And go on. I mean,
yeah, we weren't worried, I don't think. I mean, we were kind of in the in-between where you had to wear a mask inside, but you didn't have to wear them outside, and they still had the social distancing, which we sort of did in line, and mostly because it gave our son a little bit of space in front of us to bounce around in line and not bother people. So we were sort of in the in-between times when it was nice to not have to wear a mask, and we weren't worried. I think we felt very safe. I think, Disney has seemingly done a great job throughout this whole thing, kind of adapting and making sure that people feel safe and are safe. So I think no worries there.
Yeah, I should say, you should probably definitely stay at least 6 feet away from families with 6-year-olds, because you never know you're gonna get a kick in the knee or shot in the shins. I mean, just saying. I
might.
Those kindergartners, man. What I do to you? You're not even in my class. I'm gonna write you a detention. You're 6.
They can't control it.
Like, come on now. Well, a 6th grader would have done that. They're suspended for 2 weeks. Okay. Anyway, so let's talk dining here for a second. You guys had some outstanding meals. You mentioned Kona earlier.
Yeah.
But you guys did a lot of my favorites. So just dive into a few of your dining experiences. How'd those go?
Yeah, so we did Kona the first night, which was delicious. I'd never been to the Polynesian, and so that was partly this time. I was like, we're going to explore some of the resorts, and so that was delicious. And then I think my favorite was Sanaa. We drove over there for a late lunch on our Animal Kingdom day, which was really nice. It was nice. We didn't go back to the hotel that day, but it was nice to sort of take a break at the resort, have a really nice meal. The cast members were so nice to us. They sort of sat us at a table. It was like the end of lunch service, and they sat us at a table, and they just saw me look over at the window, and she was like, let me go see if you can have that table right by the window. And it was just a lot of fun. I probably sent you a picture, like the birds were right up against the window. My son is looking at them. That was, I think, and of course the food there is delicious. We did the bread service. We love the dining plan, but I think this time definitely. Oh, there he is.
Great.
We love the dining plan, but this time gave us a little bit of chance to try things outside of things that we've done in the past. So we did that, and lunch at the Hollywood Brown Derby and our Hollywood Studios day, which was really, I think similarly, it was a nice break in the middle of the day. It was a little bit quieter. Obviously, the waiters are great. And then I think I have a new tradition. I think that we're going to do Topolino's like as we're leaving. We did that the morning we were departing, and that meal was a riot. That guy, our waiter, cracked me up. He was like, he had recommendations. He recommended the waffles, and my husband asked about the steak, but then ended up ordering the waffles. And he was like, wait, do you want the steak on the side? I'll bring you the steak on the side. So like, instead of bacon, he got steak.
A waffle with a side of steak.
And then I ordered something. He's like, I'm going to bring you a waffle anyway.
Sounds like a cruise. That's exactly how cruises go. And that's why I gained 5 pounds. 4 nights sailing. That's exactly it.
So that meal was a lot of fun. And of course, that resort is beautiful. It's fun to see the grounds and see the views from up top. So I think I'm all about traditions. I like to try new things, but also have a good way of like wrapping up a trip. And I think that might be a good one if you can get it.
Yeah. Well, and you're making me, again, every person that comes on the show, we ask them, what do you like about it? And every person goes, well, we had dinner at Topolino's. They have breakfast or dinner. I'm like, well, I'm the only person that has not been there at this point. I mean, it's because I'm kind of cheap, and because my family's so picky, like dinner wouldn't work for them.
Yeah.
But it sounds like breakfast would. I mean, breakfast food. So we'll have to do breakfast. So.
Yeah, it was, and they Disney is great about, where they can adapt things to your taste. They will do. And so that was definitely a lot of fun. And then the only place that we repeated was going to Skipper Canteen, which is just, I enjoy that place. I think it's fun to be in Adventureland, hear all the silly jokes and the food. So
that's so funny because I always forget that's there. Like, you mentioned Skipper Canteen. I'm like, I've eaten there twice and it was really good. I mean, it just had like the taste like chicken or something. I mean, it's probably not real exotic, but I like more the environment as much as the food. It's just like you said, it's fun being basically eating in like the mess hall, the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
But I totally forget about the place. I just never consider it when it comes time to eat. It's like it's invisible. We don't talk about it here on the show very much. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah,
It's still there.
it's a good spot. I think we did dinner there on our last Magic Kingdom day, so it's it's a good place to get a meal in the middle of the day.
Let me ask you about one more place and then a couple more questions and we'll start to wrap. But Hollywood Brown Derby, I've never eaten there myself. You had a 6-year-old with you, so how did that go? Because signature meal.
It is, but I think that's what Disney does so well. It is a signature meal, but like it was still kid friendly. They had things that he liked on the menu. We were in a booth that sort of, contained him so he didn't bother other people. He was really into the light up ice cubes and the drinks. And so it was it was a nice meal to sit and it's dark and it's cool, but the food is really good. And they still, there's kids everywhere. He's walking in with his new lightsaber that he was so excited to get. And so yeah, it was, Disney caters to kids in all situations, even though it's a signature dining. So that's what I think I love about it, is that you feel like you can just be with a family and no one's being like, why is your kid squirming over there?
It's like, hey, I have a kid. I'm at Walt Disney World. What do you want?
Right.
I get it. Yeah, I totally get it. I mean,
and I think lunch is a calmer vibe, like a little bit more laid back than dinner might be. I don't know.
I'm in a theme park. I got a kid. What do you want? That's how it is. And you took some great pictures to share with me, and it was really cool, like seeing your family, cruising around on the People Mover around to Tomorrowland. I'm stuck on Skipper Canteen still. And then your son with his looked like it was a Kylo Ren, lightsaber.
Oh yeah, little John to the dark side.
Exactly. It makes me a little worried. It's those indicators. You gotta be careful there. I have a green or blue one. Okay, real quick. So it sounds like you guys had a great trip. So let me ask you this as we kind of wrap it up. Is there anything you would change, like going back, or you mentioned you guys get to go every couple of years? What would you do differently next time, or what's something you said your husband missed Carousel of Progress? That's a crime. That's a crime.
Yeah. Well, he said that was the one thing he said I wish we had done. So we'll try to do that next time. I've never quite figured out Epcot. And I don't know, like right now there's all the walls up. Like we have fun on the rides, but I've never made it all the way around World Showcase. Like we just sort of get stopped at the American Pavilion and everyone's hot and tired. And so I'm going to conquer Epcot next time we get there. We're going to figure out how to get to all the things we want to see and, get on the rides. We did Test Track twice, which probably held us up a little bit because that was something my son really enjoyed. So, and one of my husband's favorite rides. So we went on that. But I think the one thing is, I got to figure out Epcot so I can get around the whole World Showcase, see all these wonderful things that people talk about, and eat more food. That is the other thing. It was so hot. I had big plans. I was going to eat all the things I wanted to eat, but it was so hot that I was like, I'm not sure I want that right now. So
Ricky and I talked about this on Friday's podcast that, the Food and Wine Festival has now started in July. Okay. Yeah. So that is just weird to me because it happened last year and it's happening this year. I mean, do you really want to go to Canada and have cheddar cheese soup? Like you said, when it's 100 degrees and the humidity is 85%, it's like, I'll pass. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Best intentions. But yeah, Disney's trying to figure out what Epcot's up to right now. So
I know. Well, I know that people say Animal Kingdom's the hottest park. I don't know if with having all those walls up, I felt like Epcot was the super. Adam's just saying that it's super tough in the heat,
especially right now when you're walking on that brand new concrete that they poured there and the little zigzag paths. There's a stretch there between like the land and Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
No kidding. Like it's gotta be 1,000. It's like when we were down there, this is totally mental, but like they usually have water flowing on that side of Future World over by the seas and the land and all that. It was just plain old dried rocks. And I mean, it made it feel like we were walking on Mars. It was 180 degrees. It was brutal. Oh man, you're so right. But yeah, I've got fun. You'll get there. We'll get
there. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah, got to have something to look forward to. Okay. One last thing, 50th anniversary year. Big celebration, October 1st, getting new fireworks. We just found out today as we're recording Happily Ever After going away forever.
I don't know how I feel about that. I haven't processed it fully.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, we're saying on the podcast, it'll be back after, 18 months. Nope. Somebody's going to throw it away. Disney.
I love that show.
Did you have to say that today? I mean, could have waited like a year, like you could have said that, like 6 months to go in the, the Enchanted show or Enchantment or whatever it is, I'm like, we're not bringing it back. Dude, easy Disney, let up on the gas, you don't got to hit us with that. But let me ask you this. So looking back over the 50 years, is there anything that you ever got to experience in the past, or like a promotion, an attraction, a restaurant, a show,
Yeah.
parade or something that you would bring back if Disney let you bring anything back from the past?
Yeah, I know that this has been mentioned before, but like one of my standout memories from going when I was about 8 in the early 90s, maybe, is the nighttime parade, the electrical parade. That is stuck in my brain. And so fireworks and that at the end of the night just sounds really perfect for me. So I think an end of the night parade is something that I would love to see come back.
I agree, because to me, when I really first started going with Pam and with Paige, probably in the early 2000s, it was always, you watch because there were 2 parades. There was always the one parade, then there was fireworks, and there was the late parade. And we would ride rides during the first parade. We'd get a good spot for the fireworks, watch the second parade, maybe ride a couple more rides and leave. And that's just looking back, that's how I thought it would always be, right? I mean, it was just like, oh, that's the Disney way. You end the night with fireworks. And even at Epcot, they had Tapestry of Nations, Tapestry of Dreams. You had illuminations in that parade. And it was just like, oh, that's how Disney, tells you good night. And that's how they wrap up the day. I never thought we'd get to a time where no nighttime parade. And I get it that it's busy, but I mean, they're Disney. They can figure this out. People
I know you see those people pulling up that tape and all those things after the parade. I'm like, y'all have got this. You can figure this out.
At the Magic Kingdom, they made that whole back behind Main Street exit. We can bring. I just miss Spectrum Magic is the one I missed. I love the music was amazing. I love Main Street Electrical Parade too, but it was just, again, it's when you came into it, it's your own nostalgia. And Spectrum Magic was the parade that was going on when I first started going with my family. So even though it had scary clowns at the beginning, I kind of go. So they're weird. Okay, well, hey. I appreciate you taking the time for recording the show. This sounds like you guys had a great trip. So anything on the horizon, or, what are the plans for the rest of the summer?
No, we have no Disney trips on the horizon, although I think I'm aiming maybe for late in the 50th anniversary celebration, maybe January 2023, when it's cooler. And the rest of our summer is we got some local beach trip. We have the beach here, so spending some time at the beach and with friends, and it's a good life here on the coast of South Carolina.
I bet it is. Yeah, I'm here in Missouri. I only get to see the ocean every once in a while. God, and what's weird is I love the ocean. That's why I love cruising so much. The ocean is so amazingly gorgeous. I think it's because you're fond of what you don't have. I mean, I see rivers all the time. I'm like, oh, they're brown and gross, and they're everywhere. I live between the Missouri and the Mississippi, but it's enjoy that. It sounds like a great summer, but I really do appreciate you taking the time, and thanks again for sharing with us, and have a great summer.
Yeah, thanks to you, Mike. Thanks for doing these trips. These have really carried me through listening to all these trip reports. So thank you.
All righty. I appreciate it. And don't forget, all these shows brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. Check them out today for all your Disney trip planning needs. They're over at themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It's over at brguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you to our patrons for allowing us to put out this show 4 or 5 times a week, 3 or 4 or 5 times. We do a lot of shows. There's a lot of shows every week. You help with that, and we appreciate it so very much. Our patrons get Mike in the Midwest, a bonus podcast every Thursday. Just check it out over at patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcasts. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter, at Be Our Guest Mike. I'll see you over there. And of course, the show is at Be Our Guest Pod. Subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube, because you'll get notifications when we go live to record these shows, and you can be right here in the audience. We love hearing what you have to say when we record live. Finally, don't forget to join us this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. It's you, me, and Scotty G. We take your calls and talk about all things Disney. And we'll be passing out some Kleenex for Happily Ever After. And we can debate that. Why does Disney have to do this to us? Like, they give us good news. And it's like, okay, whoa, we're a little bit too far on the happy side. We got to get you here with it's gone forever. So we'll talk about that Sunday night, because I'm sure that'll light up the phone line. So join us at 7 o'clock Eastern. We'll see you on Facebook and YouTube. All right. So for Kate, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. It's time to get back to work, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks so much. That's a good one. That was a really good one. That's fun.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for doing this. I have to say, you have to have a skill for this, to bring all these amateurs on for a radio show. and it be consistently good.
I just
You
make
got some skills.
I'm an elementary school teacher. That's where my degree's in. This my dad's a radio DJ, so maybe I got it from him.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but he's a Rams guy, so I have to disown him for that.
Right.
Rams, but what can I do? Gotta love the guy. Hey, I saw the family sneak by in the back.
They did. They did.
Thanks for letting Laurie here for an hour to get the show out there, and I hope they enjoy it on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Mike.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You have a good evening.
All
Thanks
right,
again.
thanks.
Bye, Black Cat. Bye.